July 12th, 2025, LaSalle, Utah.
She called the winds in the area squirrely and unpredictable, and when combined with the heat, a recipe for disaster.
That a fire vortex, also called a firenado, started swirling over the Deer Creek fire in Utah.
A fire tornado has been standing nearly stationary over the same patch of Utah desert for 12 minutes. It is 100 yards wide. Its winds reach 122 miles per hour, and it shows no sign of moving. Inside the cab of a wildland fire truck directly beneath it, a crew member holds up a phone and begins to film. Outside the windows, embers, sheet metal, and burning debris are spinning around the vehicle as the tornado tears overhead. They cannot drive away. Their radio channels are overloaded with traffic from other trapped crews. They can only wait. This is the most dangerous fire tornado ever filmed. To understand what happened on July 12th, 2025, you have to look at something almost no viewer has ever considered. Not the fire itself, and not the wind that fed it, but the mountain range sitting directly above it. The LaSalle Mountains rise abruptly out of the desert of southeastern Utah, just 18 miles southeast of Moab. They are the second highest range in the state, isolated, surrounded on every side by flat desert, without any connected ranges to break the wind before it arrives. This geography is the entire reason the fire tornado was possible. When strong winds hit an isolated mountain range like the LaSalle's, something specific happens. The wind does not simply blow over the top of the mountains. It flows around them, like a river flowing around a rock in a stream bed. On the leeward side of the range, the side facing away from the wind, the airflow forms a wake. A massive, slowly rotating column of swirling air, like the eddy behind a stone in a fast-moving river. Most of the time, this wake eddy does nothing dangerous. It is a quiet, invisible feature of the atmosphere that passes through without leaving a mark, until something feeds it. But on July 12th, 2025, there was a fire burning inside the eddy. Neil Leroux, a professor of atmospheric science at the University of Nevada, Reno, later described what that combination created. A fire burning inside one of these big wake eddies coming off the LaSalle Mountains. Under those conditions, the fire's own heat column, the powerful updraft produced by hundreds of acres of burning pinyon and juniper forest, would begin to stretch and concentrate the rotation already present in the eddy, like a figure skater pulling in their arms and spinning faster. The mountains were already creating the spin. All the fire had to do was concentrate it. All it needed was a spark, and it got one. On July 10th, 2025, at approximately 3 p.m., a fire ignited near State Route 46, just over a mile north of the small town of LaSalle. Investigators later determined the fire was human-caused, the probable cause a pile of burning debris, with charges eventually filed against a 68-year-old man from Salt Lake City. Within 5 hours, the fire ran 6 miles through dry sagebrush, pinyon, and juniper. By nightfall, it had consumed more than 4,000 acres. By the following morning, it had reached 8,300. The Deer Creek fire was not yet the worst thing in Utah. It was just another fire in a state that had already seen 563 wildfires that year. That was about to change. That changed at 12:40 p.m. on July 12th. Around that time, the firefighters on the Deer Creek fire began to notice something was wrong. The flames were burning hotter than they had all week and climbing faster than the crews could account for. The fire behavior in the last hour had shifted to something most of them had never seen before. The flame lengths were climbing 100 feet, 200 feet, until the fire reached 250 to 300 feet into the air, a wall of flame as tall as a 30-story building. The sky above the fire turned a deep, unnatural red. Then it got darker. Then the column of black smoke rising above the flames began to rotate, slowly at first. The physics happening in the atmosphere above the Deer Creek fire at that moment were the same physics that drive conventional tornadoes. Powerful up-canyon winds from the south were colliding with northerly gusts rolling down off the LaSalle Mountains. The collision was creating a zone of unstable, rotating air right above the fire, and the fire itself, burning with enough intensity to loft a smoke plume 16,000 feet into the sky, was acting as a massive chimney, concentrating the rotation into an increasingly tight, increasingly violent vortex. Crew leaders began radioing across every channel. Get away from it. Move to safety zones. Go into the black, the already burned area where there was nothing left to ignite. Most firefighters made it. Some did not. At 1:03 p.m. Mountain Time, the fire tornado touched down a few meters east of Forest Road 201, and it doesn't move. The tornado is approximately 100 yards wide at its base. It is rated EF2 by the National Weather Service, the same category as a strong conventional tornado, with winds between 111 and 135 miles per hour. The top wind speed, later confirmed by damage assessment, is 122 miles per hour. What makes it different from every other fire tornado in recorded history is not its strength. The Carr Fire tornado in California in 2018 was stronger, an EF3 equivalent with 143 mile-per-hour winds. What makes the Deer Creek tornado remarkable is what it does next. It stops completely. A conventional tornado travels. It tracks across the landscape at 20, 30, sometimes 60 miles per hour. It is destructive because it is moving, because it sweeps across a path that can be miles long. The Deer Creek fire tornado does not do that. It touches down. It drills into the earth, and it stays in almost exactly the same place for the next 12 minutes. For those 12 minutes, it does the work of a tornado that had been tracking for an hour, all in one place. It rips the roof off a single-family home in one motion.
561 and bursting. There goes the roof.
It tears a heavy metal gate out of the ground and tosses it skyward. It uproots pine trees. It strips bark from trunks. It destroys outbuildings that have been standing for decades, and it continues to pull debris, sagebrush, sheet metal, burning embers into its vortex with a constant, grinding force that survivors later describe as the sound of a jet engine that would not shut off, getting louder and louder. Two hotshot crews, sheltering in the black just east of the vortex, are blasted in the face with superheated ash and debris. Another crew, positioned to the south, describes the moment as being inside an ash dust storm.
Go ahead, I see. Hey, did we get confirmation everyone's back to the 6 o'clock? Hey, firm, resources to move back to safety zone.
Visibility of a few feet, breathing nearly impossible, the temperature around them climbing past anything survivable in open air. And in the middle of all of this, one fire truck crew is caught directly in the tornado's path. The truck is a federal wildland fire engine assigned to the Deer Creek fire that morning. The crew had been working a structure protection assignment near the path of the fire. As the vortex organizes and touches down, they have no time to drive away. There is nowhere to go. The roads out are blocked by active fire behavior. The tornado is already on top of them. They take refuge at a structure site with defensible space, a cleared area around a building, the kind of perimeter that fire crews create specifically to make buildings survivable during a wildfire. The cleared ground means there is less fuel immediately around them, less for the tornado to rip up and throw. They park the engine and stay inside, and one of them takes out a phone and begins to record. What the video shows is unlike anything that has ever been captured of a fire tornado. For 12 minutes, the crew sits inside their engine with a fire tornado drilling into the ground above them, waiting for it to end, second by second. At 1:15 p.m., the vortex dissipates. Remarkably, every single firefighter on the Deer Creek fire, across every division, including the crews blasted in the black, the team in the ash dust storm, and the engine crew filming from inside the tornado, walks away without a single injury. Against all odds, the engine sustains minor damage and is pulled from operations for repairs. The residents of the neighborhood in the tornado's path had been evacuated the day before when the fire first threatened the area. There are no civilian deaths either. The Deer Creek fire tornado is one of the most intense fire-generated weather events of the decade, and it kills no one. The Deer Creek fire continues to burn for another month. It crosses into Colorado on July 15th. It reaches 17,724 acres before being fully contained on August 11th, 2025. 13 structures are destroyed in total, 11 private residences, a U.S. Department of Agriculture guard station, and a communications tower that had provided internet service to an entire rural community. Residents have to temporarily relocate from Old LaSalle while the tower is rebuilt. The fire tornado itself becomes one of the most studied fire-induced weather events in the history of the National Weather Service. It is only the second EF2 tornado of any kind rated in Utah since the enhanced Fujita scale was implemented in 2007, and one of only a handful of fire tornadoes worldwide ever documented at that intensity. The video footage from inside that fire truck becomes a training resource distributed across federal wildfire agencies within weeks. Every fire season, crews working in the American West will now watch it before they deploy. There is something the Carr Fire of 2018 began that the Deer Creek Fire of 2025 has continued. In Redding, the world learned that a wildfire could build a tornado. In LaSalle, the world learned something harder to accept, that a fire tornado does not have to be the strongest ever recorded to be the most dangerous. It just has to stay in one place and keep going. The Carr Fire's tornado moved. It did its damage in a path, and then it was gone. The Deer Creek Fire's tornado stopped. It drilled into one spot for 12 minutes, and it did its damage by not leaving. Fire crews across the American West now train for both scenarios because the conditions that produce them are not going away. The dry fuel, the isolated mountain ranges, the collision of opposing wind patterns, the extreme fire behavior. All of it is becoming more common every summer, and with it, the chance that another wake eddy will catch another fire. They have the footage now. They know what it looks like from the inside. The question is whether the next crew that finds themselves in that position will have the same 12 minutes to wait it out, or if they'll get any time at all. If you've made it this far, then this story stayed with you. These aren't just extreme events or rare phenomena. These are real moments with real people who had no control over what was happening around them. And somehow, they made it through. If this video meant something to you, take a second to subscribe. Not for me, but so more people can see stories like this and understand just how unpredictable and powerful these events really are. And if you can, share this with someone, because the more people who understand what's possible out there, the better prepared we all are when it happens again. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.